The observation deck of the Valkyrie's shadow hung silent, save for the rhythmic hiss of life support systems. Commander Aaron slumped against the reinforced viewport, one hand pressed against the plasma burn searing through his tactical vest. Blood, dark and viscous in the low light, seeped between his fingers, pooling on the deck plating beneath him. He'd seen worse, survived worse, but context mattered, and right now, context was everything. 12 hours ago, the diplomatic mission to Threshold Station had seemed routine. The Galactic Concordance had finally agreed to hear humanity's petition for full membership, not the provisional status they'd endured for 3 generations, but actual representation. Real power, the kind that came with protection, the kind that came with respect. Aaron had worn his dress uniform, the one with the medals he'd earned in the border wars. Wars the Concordance had officially declared internal human conflicts of no galactic significance. Wars where humanity had learned to bleed and die in vacuum, where they discovered that desperation bred innovation faster than any university could teach it. The Vryn ambassador had been polite. Too polite, the sort of courtesy that preceded rejection. Then came the Kessick delegation. The Kessick were apex predators from a world where natural selection had been particularly brutal. They stood 9 feet tall, covered in biometallic scales that could deflect small arms fire, with retractable claws that could puncture starship hull plating. They'd built an empire on strength, conquest, and an unwavering belief in hierarchical superiority. They'd found humanity's application amusing. Your species lacks the physical capability for true galactic citizenship, the Kessick Prime Delegate had said, his translator rendering the words with clinical precision. You are soft, weak. Your world should be administered by those evolved for leadership. Aaron had kept his expression neutral. Diplomacy, protocol, all the things humanity had learned to perform for the galactic stage. Then, the Kessick had made their demonstration. The plasma discharge had been accidental, according to their immediate apology. A weapon malfunction. These things happened. But Aaron had seen the deliberate angle, the calculated timing. It was a message. This is what happens when prey forgets its place. Now, bleeding on his own ship, Aaron wondered if humanity would ever escape that designation. Prey. Commander. The voice belonged to Kor, the youngest member of Aaron's crew. At 16 standard years, the boy still carried that untempered idealism that combat hadn't yet carved away. He rushed across the observation deck, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Behind him came the others. Martinez with her cybernetic arm, the result of a mining accident the Concordance had ruled insufficiently severe for medical compensation. Singh, whose family had died on the colony world, the Vryn had regretfully failed to defend from raiders. Nakamura, Chen, Al-Rashid, all of them young, all of them bearing the scars of a species learning to survive without protection. The Cubs, Aaron called them privately. Not because they were weak, but because they reminded him of wolf pups, all teeth and fury, still learning to hunt. Sir, medical is standing by. Kor began, but Aaron waved him off. I'm fine, he lied. The burn went deeper than he'd initially assessed. His augmented healing factor was working overtime, but shock threatened at the edges of his consciousness. Kor knelt beside him, and Aaron saw something flicker across the young man's face. Not fear, not concern. Rage. Pure, controlled, absolutely lethal rage. The Kessick did this, Kor said. Not a question. Accident, Aaron managed. Official record. Official record, Martinez repeated flatly, arriving with the medical kit. Her mechanical fingers moved with practiced efficiency, cutting away Aaron's vest, assessing the damage. Just like the accidental reactor failure on Proxima Prime. Just like the accidental nav beacon corruption that sent the Hope's venture into a star. We know what this is, Singh added, his voice carrying that particular coldness that came from watching everything you loved burn. They think we're weak because we follow their rules, because we ask permission, because we bleed. We do bleed, Aaron said, gritting his teeth as Martinez applied the dermal regenerator. That's not weakness. That's biology. No, sir. Kor stood, and in that moment Aaron saw the boy transform into something else, something the galaxy hadn't yet learned to recognize. With respect, they don't understand what they've done. The other cubs gathered closer, forming a circle around their wounded commander. Aaron had trained them, fought beside them, watched them evolve from refugees and outcasts into something the Concordance had no classification for. Humanity didn't have biometallic scales. They didn't have retractable claws or venom sacs or telepathic coordination. What they had was memory, adaptability, the ability to learn from every wound, every defeat, every instance of being underestimated. The Keswick thinks strength is about what you're born with, Kor continued, his voice carrying a quiet certainty that raised the hair on Aaron's neck. They don't understand that we're born with nothing, that we have to earn everything, that every scar teaches us something they'll never learn. Kor, Aaron tried to interrupt, but the boy wasn't finished. Let them think we're prey, Kor said, and now the others were nodding, that same dangerous understanding spreading through the group. Let them think this wound makes us weak. They just taught us how their weapons work, how their shields are positioned, how their pride makes them sloppy. Martinez smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. 3 generations we've been asking permission, playing by their rules, taking their scraps and saying thank you. Maybe, Singh added, it's time we reminded the galaxy why Earth's predators learned to hunt in packs. Aaron looked at his crew, his cubs, and felt something shift in his chest that had nothing to do with the plasma burn. They were right, all of them. Humanity had been performing civilization, hoping that good behavior would earn them safety. But safety wasn't given. It was taken. Stand down, Aaron ordered, but there was no conviction in his voice. Kor met his eyes, and Aaron saw himself reflected there, young, angry, determined to prove that humanity deserved more than scraps from the galactic table. They observed you bleed, Commander, Kor said quietly, repeating the moment that had changed everything. Then he smiled, sharp and certain and absolutely human. Whoever did that doesn't know who we are. The words hung in the recycled air of the observation deck, a promise and a prophecy. The Keswick had made their demonstration. Now humanity would make theirs, and the galaxy would finally learn what apex predators truly looked like.